ASP.NET first session today. The first thing I want to tell you that ASP.NET is not a language unlike C# and VB. Okay, it is a technology from Microsoft which is developed to develop web-based applications. Okay, we can create web-based application, websites, web applications in ASP.NET. So as ASP.NET is not a language, you can use any .NET language in order to develop applications. It can be C#, it can be VB. Okay, so it's like ActiveX, abbreviation is ActiveX server page. Okay, ActiveX server page. So the overview of the architecture or overview of ASP.NET is something like this. Say there is a client. Okay, and there will be a web server. So here client is considered as client is nothing but browser. Okay, in ASP.NET client is considered as browser because with the help of browser only we can access the resources available on the web server. So here client will make a communication to web server which is called as request. Okay, we will pass a request. For an example, if I open my browser and if I type facebook.com, so I am making, with the help of that browser, I am making a request to the web server. Now Facebook web server will do the processing what is the request is about. So as client is asking for Facebook page, the first page of Facebook will be displayed, which is nothing but login page, as a response to that particular client. So here request and response. So a client will make a communication to web server which is considered as request. Then web server will do the processing of the client request and it will send the response to the client. So there I can see the Facebook login page. In both the situations, the protocol we will use is nothing but HTTP. Okay, HTTP protocol. So HTTP request and HTTP response. Suppose after getting the Facebook login page, I will enter my username. I'll enter my password here in the browser. Again, I'll make a request to the web server. Now, with that request, there is an information. We are passing some information with that request, which is nothing but we are passing the username and password. Now this request will be sent to web server and web server will do the processing right now, as this web server has to connect with the data store. Suppose there is a data store over here. So it will make communication with the data store. Web server will interact with data store. Okay, then web server will give the response to that particular client. If the details are valid, you will be redirected to the Facebook homepage. If the details are invalid also, web server will go to data store and it will check over there whether the details are correct or not, and the response you will get is nothing but as a response you will be on the same page. So this is the architecture, I can say, the overview of ASP.NET. This thing will happen. Client will make a request in the form of HTTP and will get the response in the form of HTTP. Got? Fine. So let's see what is this HTTP is about. So HTTP is a protocol. A request is submitted to server using HTTP protocol. HTTP protocol is safe for internet type of scenario. Mostly we will use HTTP protocol only. This is the mostly the default protocol used by the web browsers to make communication. Okay, this is the mostly used protocol in the internet scenario. It is safe. And for security also we have got one more protocol for HTTP. HTTPS will be there. Like for banking websites or online shoppings, we will use HTTPS as a protocol. Next, HTTP is a stateless protocol. What does it mean? It is nothing but it will not maintain any information about the client. Only the job of HTTP is nothing but take the request to web server, gets the response to the client. That's it. Okay, it's a stateless protocol. It will not maintain any ongoing correspondence information. Like this client will send me one more request, it will not look for that. Every time HTTP will consider that particular client as a new request, as a new client. Okay, you are saying that facebook.com, it will consider it as a new client has sent a request to the Facebook server. Then you will log in, again new request. So it will not maintain any information about the client. Next, HTTP is a W3C specification, World Wide Web Consortium specification, and it will communicate only in string format. HTTP communicates only in the format of string format. How I can say that? We'll see how it is communicates in string format. And HTTP request structure is from browser to server, request line, request header will be there, and message body, what we have posted the data. Similarly, HTTP response structure is nothing but status line. What is the status of my request? What is the response header says to me? What is the message? So this is the request HTTP request structure. This is about HTTP response structure. We'll use some methods over here. Whenever a web form will send a request to the web server, two methods we will use, get and post methods. Automatically it will happen. We have to just see what is get and what is post method. That's it. Nowhere else we are going to mention get method or post method in ASP.NET. Okay, that was the case before in classic ASP. So about get method is nothing but all the name value pairs are submitted as a query string. Name value pair is nothing but every control will have a ID, and that say text box 1 is the name. What will be the value of text box 1? Whatever you entered in the text box. So the object name as well as the value, the data will be submitted as a query string to the server. This get method is not secured. Length of the string is restricted. In the address bar, length of the string is restricted. You cannot have 255. There is a restriction of the size of the characters, like 255 is the maximum you can use in the address bar, not much more than that in the get method. This is the default method. If get method is used and if the page is refreshed, it would not prompt before the request is submitted again. So when the particular client is submitting the same request again, you will not be prompted that you are sending this request one more time to the web server. Again, as a response, you will not get anything as a new. Same response you will get it. So it will not prompt any message to me when get method is used. So when I am refreshing my page, it should tell me that no updation will be made when you refresh this page. If any updations are there, refresh it. If it is not there, let me know what is happening with a message box. So that will not happen with get method. About post method, length of the string is not restricted in post method. Post method is secured. Name value pairs cannot be seen in location bar of a web server. So in the address bar, you cannot see name value pairs. Here, name value pairs will be submitted as query string that you can see it. Like username is equals to value or text box 1 is equals to value. You can see in the address bar. But here when post method is used, you cannot see it in the address bar. Name value pairs. Okay, and use this method if the output renders depends upon the posted data and varies based on the input provided. Okay, if post method is used and if the pages is refreshed, it would prompt before the request is submitted again. Yeah, this method will prompt me that you are sending this request again. Okay, you are sending this request again, but there is no use of sending the request again. As usual, the response is nothing but the same response, you will get it. So this method will prompt me. See, every request will have some code. Like we'll see sometimes 404, isn't it? Page not found or file not found, isn't it? So many errors we will see on the web server. 404 page not found or busy server is busy, like that. So every request will have some status code, which is nothing but which will start from 100 and which will add into 500. So from 100, say 100 to 199, it will be the description will be about informational. The description will be informational. 200 to 299, it will be success. And from 300 to 399, it will be redirect from one page to another, redirection. And from 400 to 499, not authorized or not authenticated. Like you are not authorized for this page, you are not authenticated for this page, why you are trying to access that page like that. 500, okay, server errors of the server. So every request will have this status code. Obviously we don't need to learn what is the status code when I am sending my request. Automatically the ASPX engine will detect that and it will give you the response. Every web server has a default directory and by default on iOS it is something. Okay, fine. See, to run ASP.NET web applications, we require a web server. To run ASP.NET applications, we require web server. A web server is nothing but it's also a machine fully configured with all those things to give the response, to take request from the client and to give the response to the client. So we will use some web servers here. Like we have the default web server to run ASP.NET applications locally is ASP.NET Development Server. This is a web server which will be installed by default when you install your Visual Studio or whenever you install ASP.NET Web Develop software. Okay, ASP.NET Development Server will be installed with that software. So this will help you to run ASP.NET applications